Hey guys, Matt Wilson here for another Best of a Genre show. This is going to be prog. This is going to be my top 50 prog albums from its first 10 years, which would be 69 to 78. I don't know, that's my cutoff for the first decade. And I'm doing this the same way I did my punk and my psychedelic shows, one album per band or artist. That is to keep it from becoming like a prog's greatest hits. You know, it's like, how many Pink Floyd albums do you include? How many Yes or Genesis, albums? It's one. I want more lesser known acts to get a look in. I'm also doing the show to promote a lot of other, like European prog, especially Italian prog, that I haven't had a lot of time to discuss on my shows in the past year and a half. Because I forget, when I'm making my best 60 albums, best 70 albums of a given year, I just forget, So this is a chance to do some, catching up, to check off some more boxes. I'm not going to be getting into too many really obscure things, off the beaten path choices. Not if you're into prog, but if you're only a casual prog enjoyer, observer, listener, yeah, there's gonna be some stuff that you don't know about, and I like that, right? Because that way I can turn you on to something else that you weren't previously aware of. Okay, so let's start. This is gonna be a long show because I got a lot to say, and it's 50 albums. So I'm gonna start off with. My top 10 is going to be a prog's greatest hits, because these albums, you have to almost like get them out of the way, My first one is Dark Side of the Moon. Now, I know what you're saying. It's how Rolling Stone of you. I don't know that Rolling Stone says that Dark Side of the Moon is the best prog album or not, but I mean, if we're going to include Pink Floyd in a serious discussion of prog, and why wouldn't we? They're on every prog book. They're on every prog website, they're listed as a prog band. Yes, they're still psychedelic, but I mean, what is their greatest achievement? Most people will tell you it's Dark Side of the Moon. If you want to pimp for Wish You Were Here, Metal, Animals, again, people are gonna have so many classic albums that it's an exercise in subjectivity. Dark Side of the Moon, the prog album of 1973, I think, beating out Lark's Tongues and Aspic. It's certainly, one of the most popular rock albums of all time. This is my only Pink Floyd choice for this show. We got it out of the way, right? Okay, my number 2 choice is my only album from 1969, In the Court of the Crimson King. Got to show you my big, one of my 2 Steven Wilson Crimson King box sets, but that's okay. I want this to be like just easily to show you on the phone here, the camera. Did this album begat prog? I don't know. I mean, I've already said on several shows, I think that the second album by The Nice, with the Latin title, I'm not even going to try to pronounce, that's a prog album. But it ain't as good as this. That album came out in 68, by the way. In the Court of the Crimson King dominates 1969 for sure. No other prog album is half as good as this in that year. Remains my favorite King Crimson album. If I was going to give you another one from the 70s, it would have been Red, then Lark's Tongues. Those are my top 3. Okay. Number 3. Thick as a Brick. Yep, if I choose Thick as a Brick, it means I'm not going to show you Aqualung. And I'm not going to show you Benefit or Minstrel in the Gallery or Songs from the Wood. This is the most progressive, this is the most prog album that they ever released. A Passion Play, too. But this is a better album than a Passion Play, right? This is perfect. I like this album more than I like Close to the Edge, but it's just by a hair. And that's what I would choose today. If I was in a Yes mood, I would tell you Close to the Edge is the better album. But Close to the Edge isn't even my favorite Yes album, which I'll get to in a second. The next choice, actually. So there you go. 1972, Ian Anderson wrote the whole thing. Thick as a Brick, parts 1 and 2. As proggy as it gets. All right? Getting the top 10 or the top dozen, prog bands out the way. Okay, number 4, my favorite Yes album is Fragile. All right? Whether this is as prog or, as Close to the Edge, it does not concern me. This was the first Yes album I ever heard. And I am a lot of times faithful to the album that I first heard as a teenager, you know, which turned me on to that band. The Yes video I did, the Yes show, is the most popular video of any band I've ever done. You're going to see other Yes offshoots in this list today. This is my favorite one. I know some people don't like the instrumental, you know, things that the band members did solo in between the longer tracks on here. I don't care. I like them. This is a 5-star classic to me, and it's the album that turned me on to Yes. Number 5 is my favorite Genesis album, Southern England by the Pound. Going for this over Foxtrot, going for this over Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, going for this over Nursery Crime or either of the two 1976 albums. All classics, all great albums. Southern England is wall-to-wall, great material. I love every note. I love every, you know, I mean, there's little kind of lesser tracks, shorter tracks in between the longer ones on this album too, just like Fragile. But I love it. Is it the album that turned me on to Genesis? I don't know. I bought a lot of the Peter Gabriel Genesis albums at about the same time, deliberately trying to get into this band. And it took a while. I don't know why Genesis did not click with me right away, but they didn't. I would listen to these albums and I would not even remember how the songs went when I was done. 5 minutes later, you know, I wouldn't even remember. But of course, you know, now I know it very well. This is the surround sound mix. And 1973, my favorite Genesis record. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing my Pink Floyd shirt, but this is a Syd Barrett shirt, therefore it's a psychedelic band. They weren't prog yet in 67. Okay, that was what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this must be number 6. Here's my surround sound disc of Brain Salad Surgery, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I'm going for this over Trilogy. I'm going for this over the first album. I'm going for this over Tarkus. Those would be the only, you know, the other choices. They were a band non-pariah from 70 to 73, as good as any prog band. Then they started fighting, and you know, they took too many years off, and when they came back, they just weren't as good. They weren't even half as good. Sorry, fans of those Works albums from, 77, 78, or were they both 77? I can't remember now. Nah. This is what you want, folks. Listen to it in surround. Music swirls around the room. My boys, ELP. I got 6, 7. I'm a big Canterbury guy, as you guys are going to be seeing on this video today. I'm going to show you various Canterbury bands. I'm going to say Caravans, 1971, In the Land of the Grey and Pink is my favorite Canterbury album. Does that make them my favorite Canterbury band? Probably. Over Soft Machine, Gong, you know. I'm going to have those bands on too, and other ones, you know, and other ones. There you go, In the Land of the Grey. You know, Pi Hastings was the leader of the band. He's the singer, but this is not really a Pi Hastings album, is it? I really like Dave Sinclair on here. I like his keyboards. So, anyways. I got this album in surround too, but that's not what this is. This is just a CD. Okay, I don't even know what I'm on. This is 10. I guess this is 8. Camel's Mirage. I don't know why I put Camel and Caravan so close together. Is it because they both start with C? I don't know. These guys are not a Canterbury band, but they're English. Their great triptych is Mirage, and then Snow Goose, and then Moon Madness. I could have had any of those 3. This was the one. This was the first Camel album I ever heard, though. First album's good, too. Rain Dances is good. I mean, you know, they were mostly hit rather than miss in the 70s. And Nude is a good album in 81. This is my favorite one, though. I think this is wall-to-wall great music. There's not a single moment on here I don't like. Although the first notes of the album kind of starts off weird. 1974, Mirage. Camel. I'm sure you have it if you're even remotely interested in prog. Number 9, I'm going with Rush, 2112. Now, it was between this or Hemispheres, you know, because of the cutoff was 78. I wasn't going to go as far as Moving Pictures. again, I'm being loyal to what turned me on to Rush when I was a kid, and it was this album, which of course I heard before Hemispheres or Farewell to Kings or, you know, Permanent Waves. They had delved into prog before this. This is 76. They did 2 albums in 75. Fly By Night's got some prog on there, and especially Crest of Steel. But this is a better album. You know, the whole 2112 suite on side 1 is majestic. And I used to not care for some of the songs on side 2. I like them all now. Radio used to play Passage to Bangkok, Something for Nothing. Other 3 are good. 2112, Rush. They also did the live album, the first live album, All the World's a Stage in 76. For my number 10, you guys know I'm a big Gentle Giant fan. I'm going to go with Octopus because it's the consensus choice. I'll be honest with you guys, I do not know if this is my favorite Gentle Giant album, but today when I made this list, this is the one that I'm choosing to represent the band. I could have had Freehand, In a Glass House. I mean, you know, there's pick one from 70 through 76. Any of them could conceivably be their best album. Two Friends, you know, but I'm going with Octopus because I dig that Roger Dean cover. This will not be the only Roger Dean cover you're going to see today. The music is great, you know. Okay, so that's 1 through 10. 11 through 20. Now I got to figure out how I ordered these because I got 2 big booklets to show you. I'm going to start showing you the booklets first. My number 11 is going to be Van der Graaf Generator's Pawn Hearts. As I have shown you in the past with Van der Graaf Generator albums, the CDs in the big box set do not reproduce the album covers, so, but this will. The booklet inside does. That's what Pawn Hearts looks like. This is usually the first Van der Graaf album that people start with. It's the first one I ever heard. So again, with that theory about, you know, the album that turned me on to this band. Peter Hamill is suitably intense. I didn't include any solo Peter Hamill albums in this show. That's okay. I only have a couple of them. I love it. I mean, I could have gone with God Bluff. I could have gone with H to H-E. I mean, you know, but Pawn Hearts that's the one. That's the one that I think of immediately when I think of the band. It's not an easy listening album. But as you can see, I love it. I mean, it narrowly missed my top 10. My number 12 is going to be Gong. Same thing with my what is it, Planet Gong or the Virgin Years box set. They don't reproduce the album covers. So this is You from 1974. Now, Gong has any number of great albums. You know, the Flying Teapot stuff. And after this, you know, they had good albums too. But this is the one. When I think of this band, it's You that I reach for first. Plus, on this box that I have, side 1 or side 2, I don't remember now, is in surround. So it's the only Gong that I have in surround. So there you go. Got that pyramid on the cover. Some funky stuff on here. All right. Canterbury Band. French. At least initially. Yeah, so that's number 12. Okay, now back to normal size CDs. Number 13 is Hatfield in the North. What is this, 74? This is a Canterbury album. 2 albums, right? Second one's really good too, Riders Club. But again, this is the one that turned me on to the band. This is the one that I first heard when I was first realizing I was interested in that whole Canterbury scene and trying to define it. You know, what is a Canterbury band? Do they all have to be from Canterbury? No. In fact, there are like some bands, I don't know, Super Sister, who weren't even English. You know, so it's a sound. It's a whimsical kind of, you know, not taking things too seriously sound. Is there a book on Canterbury Prog? Because it's all these musicians. I'd like to read it, who play together, who made a lot of records together in the 70s. And just, you know, we're involved in that scene. Of course, they'll say that there was no scene. So, anyways, Hatfield in the North, great prog album, 1974. Okay, that was number, where were we on? That was 11, 12, 13. 14 is Egg. Egg also is another band that made 2 albums. Both of them are good, just like Hatfield in the North or National Health. I'm going with the first one, just like Hatfield in the North. It's the first one I heard. The other one's just as good. Same thing with Riders Club being just as good as Hatfield in the North. But I'm going with the one that turned me on to this band. Wonderful sounds on here, totally progressive. Egg. 11, 12, 13. That's my 14th choice. Okay, my 15th choice. Okay, is my first Italian progressive rock band or album. It is Le Ormes Felona e Sorona. There is, this of course is in Italian. There is an English language version of this album, which I've never heard, but it's supposed to be not as good. And when I listen to Italian prog, I don't necessarily think, oh, I wish that this were in English. Sometimes I wish I knew what they were saying, But this one is very passionate, very romantic, very Italian. I did feature this. This is 73, right? On my 1973 show. So there you go. The Ormes album is probably my favorite Italian prog album. Okay, I was 16. That was 15. 16 is Big Star's third. We're back to Canterbury. How proggy is this? Well, it's progressive. This is when the fusion really starts. They're leaving the psychedelia behind, although you could say it's a psychedelic album from 1970, but they haven't become a full-on fusion band like they were with their 4th album. Robert Wyatt gets the last vocal on here that I think Soft Machine would ever have, right? Did my Soft Machine show. Love these guys. This could be my favorite prog album of 1970. Could be. Okay, 16. 16 is Kansas's Left Overture. I will have other American prog on this show. Not too much, though. I forgot about the Dixie Dregs, too. Left Overture is widely regarded as their greatest album. Point of No Return. Song for America. I mean, I like pretty much all their stuff in the 70s. That's when I was a fan. They were, at the time, they were the only American prog band that I knew of. This holds up well, and, they don't need me to big them up. Okay, is this 18? Yeah, 18. Now, I took notes on how to pronounce this stuff. So this is Banco del Mutuo Soccorso's La Sono Nato Libero, which means I was born free. Came out in 1973. I narrowly chose this over Darwin, which is also a great album. Their first album's good, too. Banco are one of the preeminent Italian progressive rock bands, more than Le Orme. This is the one I'm choosing. It's awesome. Again, this is not obscure in any way if you're into prog. All right? Because I was 18. 19, now I'm going to ruffle some feathers here. Is this really prog? This is Styx's Grand Illusion. We were big Styx guys when we were kids, and I was in junior high school. They were the perfect junior high band. This is the Steve Hoffman Gold Disc. They're an arena rock band, an American arena rock band with vestiges of prog in their music. No, they're not a real prog band, but I don't care. I love the album. Could have chose Pieces of Eight, but I think this is more proggy sounding. So that's my number 19, Styx, Pieces of Eight, Grand Illusion. All right. Okay, my number 20 is Kevin Ayers' Joy of a Toy, 1969. Did I say that the King Crimson album was my only album from 1969? Well, this is too. I know what you're thinking. How prog is Kevin Ayers? Well, not that much. But he falls under the prog banner because we all like his music, and, he was in Soft Machine, but he was in Soft Machine when they were a psychedelic band, not when they were a prog band. I'm going to have Robert Wyatt stuff, too, later on. But I really dig the Kevin Ayers albums all the way through the mid-70s. And this is my favorite one. First one I ever heard again. All right, so Joy of a Toy is my number 20. Greatest prog album, even though it's probably not really prog, right? Okay, moving that aside. We're doing 20, right? So we're doing 21 through 30. Oh, there it is. God. I got 5 stacks of this stuff on this table here, so, ugh. Okay, this is 21 through 30. I don't know how I'm going to arrange this because I got this big Chris Squire album here. That's all right. 21 is Tubular Bells, Mike Oldfield. Virgin Records, 1973. This is a classic. This is a great prog album. I like his first 3 albums. I like, Hergest Ridge and Alma Down. But this is the one. This is his Dark Side of the Moon. This is the one you would give to a newbie to see if he, is going to be a Mike Oldfield guy or not. It's certainly progressive. And, this is the surround sound mix. Sounds awesome going around the room. All right. Tubular Bells is my number 21 choice. 22, let's get into some of those Yes offshoots, is Rick Wakeman's Six Wives of Henry VIII. Now, this came out in 73. I like this album more than I like Yes's album that year, Tales from Topographic Oceans. That's a fine album, but to me, this is a classic. Entirely instrumental, all, keyboard pieces that Rick wrote. You can put this song on the background and do whatever it is you want to do, and you can either pay attention or not. It's like listening to jazz, but it's not jazzy. The first song, which I can't remember, was it Catherine of Aragon? Anyways, that's the song he wanted to put on Fragile, but his record company would not let him, so he had to go for that Cans and Brahms thing. But awesome record. 73, Rick Wakeman, his first solo album. He had been with the Strawbs before this. Okay, so that's 21, 22, 23. I've already shown you guys this. I could have shown you other, Renaissance albums. This is 75's Scheherazade. Is that the whole title? Scheherazade? Scheherazade and Other Stories. It's great. I love the girl singer. The band is awesome. Ashes Are Burning. I mean, I could have had other albums, but this is my favorite one. And this is the Steve Hoffman. I guess it's Steve Hoffman. It's Audio Fidelity. I always look at these things and say it's Steve Hoffman, but it could have been Kevin Gray too. Oh well, you can look it up online. Sounds great though. Scheherazade and Other Stories, Renaissance 19. Renaissance started off, their first album was in 69, right? Or 70. And Keith Relf, ex-singer of the Yardbirds, was one of the founding members. So, and it's not a bad album either, that Renaissance record. Okay, so 1, 22, 23. Here's 24, National Health. I told you this would be coming up. This is another Canterbury album. This is, I took notes on this one too. This is, Dave Stortz on keyboards. He was on a lot of progressive rock albums at the time. Jimmy Hastings, Pi Hastings Brothers on flute. He played on some of the Caravan albums. Came out in 78. Their second album was really good too. I like this one better. So there you go. So far there have been like 3 bands: National Health, Egg, and Hatfield of the North, which I believe had 2 albums, both good. I'm going with the first one every time. All right. Okay. Next one is Strawbs, Hero and Heroine, which is 73, right? I think 73. Dave Cousins, wrote a lot of material. I have a friend of mine who's a huge Dave Cousins and Strawbs fan. I like Strawbs. I could have gone with Ghosts as well, but again, this is the first one I heard that made me a fan. So I like this era more than the earlier stuff, certainly more than the Rick Wakeman stuff. But I don't love Strawbs as much as some people do, but this is certainly a good album. And what is this? 1, 22, 23, 24. So this is 25. So I like enough to make my 25 great prog albums of this era. Okay, I'm going to go with 26 being Chris Squire's Fish Out of Water. This is another Yes offshoot. He, of course, was the bass player. He's come out in 1975. This would have been a good Yes album. Chris's voice is kind of high-pitched. It's not that far off from John's, but, John Anderson was a better singer, obviously. But had, the other guys put their mojo on here, Patrick Moore, I think, isn't Patrick Moore already on here? This would have been awesome, as a Yes album. And 75 was a year that they did not do an album. Or 76. So anyways, This held us over nicely. Chris Squire's Fish Out of Water. This is the surround sound box. Okay. Moving up to 30, right? 30, 29, 28. I guess this is 27. This is Steve Hillage. It's his band, Con. The album's called Space Shanty. Sorry. What is this? 72. He wrote most of the... This is before he joined Gone, I think, right? He wrote most of the stuff on here. This is an awesome record. That first song, Space Shanty, that's just great. Yeah. I mean, I followed him, like in the 70s. He had a number of good solo albums too, which I'll get to my favorite one shortly. In fact, I think that's the next one. But this is my favorite thing that he did outside of a Gong album. So there you go. The band Con. I think they only did this one album. All right. Okay, now I'm going to move on to his album, L. I know you're thinking I'm skipping over Fish Rising. This is the first one I heard again, so I'm being loyal. I played this one more than I played Fish Rising. I like them both. They're both great. But this is what made me a fan of his solo. Well, Con too. All right. So there you go. This is 76. The album's called L. All right. Okay. We're going to 30, right? Okay. So this would be 29. Steve Hackett, Voyage of the Acolyte, 1975. You know what? On other days, I would tell you this is a better album than the Chris Squire album from 75. Today, I just, for some reason, went for Chris Squire. This is a great record. Of the Steve Hackett albums I have, this is easily the best one. Squire, I don't know if he ever made another album, did he? Boy, if he did, it must have been way, way later in his career. But this is just the first of many, because he's still around. Steve's still around making records. That's, get this one, though, Voyage of the Acolyte. He was, in 75, he was still with Genesis, because he would be on those two 76 Genesis albums. So there you go. Okay, my number 30 is Magma. Okay, let's get this down. I can't read it. Okay, there you go. Mechanic Destructo, Commando, Magma. I took notes on these guys too. Okay, so yeah, Christian Vander's band, or he started anyway. Zool was the type of music that he calls this. Other bands are in the Zool category too, even some Japanese bands. The language is Kobayan. It's hard to tell that they're not singing in any noticeable language. Well, it's mostly chants, This is not an easy band to listen to. I only have a couple, I think, Magma albums. They're both interesting, but I would feel remiss in not putting it here because they've got a following, and in progressive rock circles, Magma, they're not hugely popular, and they are a difficult listen. This kind of avant-garde stuff, but it's not difficult the way that Henry Cow is, But yeah, you've got to be in the mood for this stuff, but it's different, all right? Okay, so that was my 30. My number 30. 31 through 40, no big box sets, just normal size CDs. UK, 1978. This is probably the progressive rock album of 1978. It's commercial. It's kind of like what Asia wanted to be years later, but Asia sold way more records than UK did. But you got John Wetton, you got Bill Bruford, you got Alan Holdsworth, Eddie Jobson. These guys were great. Their second album's good too, but this is better. And Holdsworth didn't stay, unfortunately. But it's great, and it's probably the prog album of that year. Although I don't know if it's my favorite. I really like Hemispheres and Heavy Horses, and I don't know. I'd have to think, but this is right up there. All right, that's 31. 32. I'm very popular when I was growing up. My 1974's Crime of the Century album by Supertramp. School, might be my favorite song of theirs. Bloody Well Right, Dreamer. Rudy's good. Crime of the Century's good. Everybody had this album. All right. It took me a while to get the gist that this was prog, you know, because it sounded like a lot of music sounded like at that time. It just was like the opposite of like punky music, although there really was no punk in '74, unless you're talking about that New York Dolls album. But there you are. Super 2, this is the old Mo-Fi version. Crime, essentially very well recorded album too. Still sounds great. That's 31, 32. 33 is Focus. I went with Focus 2, you know, or Moving Waves or whatever it's called. Came out in '71. It's, you know, it's got Hocus Pocus on it, so that's why. Yeah, that's the Moving Waves cover. This is the one I saw in the '70s, not this one. I'm a Focus fan. I think all their albums are pretty good through at least '75. So this is just like the obvious choice. Third album's really good too. This is their second album, right? So or Hamburger Concerto. So there you go. 1971's Focus 2. Okay. 34. Okay, this I have to refer to my notes. PFM or Premiata Forneria Marconi. This is the Storia di un Minuto, 1 minute story. It's their first album, right? I think they did another album that year, Para un Amico, which is also good. Again, I'm going. I heard this one first. These guys and Banco are like the two preeminent Italian progressive rock bands of the '70s. So if you're going to start, well, I put that Liorme album above these two albums by these two guys, but this is good. This is as good as Italian prog gets. Okay. 34. 35 is Peter Banks. Peter Banks, of course, was the I used to call this two sides of Peter Banks. I don't know whether it's called there or not, but that's what we called it when I was growing up. This came out in '73. This is after he was with Flash, and of course he was with Flash after he was with Yes. He was the Yes guitar player on their first two albums. He's no Steve Howe, but I like him, and he gets a look in twice here on my show because I'm gonna put that first Flash album too. This is a good record. All right, this is a good record, and I do pull this out and play it now and again. So I'm not going to say he got shafted by Yes, but because I mean Steve Howe was the guitarist that they were born to play with. But this is a strong record. Okay, and I tell you, it was '73. I don't remember now. Okay, this is Harmonium. Now, these guys are a French-Canadian band. This album came out in '75. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that title. We called it Le Sing Saison earlier when I was getting to this album. It's kind of like a concept record. It's about, you know, like seasonal songs or whatever. And if there was a fifth season, but it's really good. And I want to say this is their first album. God, I don't remember now. '75. They're singing in French, but you won't notice. All right, the band's called Harmonium. Okay. 43, 9, 38. 37 is New Trolls. Now this is an Italian rock, Italian progressive rock band. This album came out in '71, but they're singing this in English here. One of the very, very few Italian prog albums I have where they bothered to sing in English. This is solid though. I don't know how many Italian prog albums there were before this. So this is pre-PFM, pre-Banco. 1971, New Trolls. It's pretty cool. What's the album called? Did I write it down? No, I didn't write anything down because I thought that I knew it all in my head. Anyways. I'll put the title in my pinned list below. All right. Okay. 37 is another Canadian band. Now this one I remember growing up. This is Black Noise by FM. I thought these guys were American for the longest time, but they're also Canadian, and well, they're North American, right? This is I waited around for this CD to be remastered, and came out in '78. It's good. It's good, and it gives me a chance to promote some more Canadian prog. All right. Okay, 39 is Refugee. Now, Refugee, this is a good album. They, I think this is their only album. They may have a live one, which was released way later on. This is Patrick Moraz, so he gets a look in, the Swiss keyboardist on my show today. He played on Yes's Relayer. He has a good solo album. His first one, The Story of I, which easily could have made this, but that's the discipline, guys. Condensing it down to 50, and he's getting a look in on my show for this album. And the other two guys are Lee Jackson, and I forget the other guy's name, but they were from The Nice. And again, Jackson was a singer, and I never thought he was that great of a singer, even with The Nice. But it's those two guys and Patrick Moraz. This is a good album. Papillon's a good song. Came out in '74, so it's the same year that he played on Yes's Relayer. So he was like the hot shot up-and-coming keyboard player for that year. I don't think he was ever going to be a Rick Wakeman or a Keith Emerson, but he's pretty much up there. He's pretty great. Okay, and my number 40, I took notes. Is Triumvirate Illusion on a Double Dimple. Came out in '74. It's not a very well recorded album. This is German prog. Speaking of German bands, I made a decision, and it hurt me to do so, not to, I got my dry throat today, not to include any krautrock. No Can, no Tangerine Dream, certainly no Kraftwerk, no Neu. I like all those bands. And when I have made prog playlists before, I have included those bands just to add spice and variety, so I'm not constantly listening to music which sounds like this. Because this is just classic kind of, keyboard dominated prog. It doesn't matter whether it comes from Germany or not. It's what you hear this and you instantly think it's prog. Whereas the other bands I just told you were more progressive rather than prog in the strictest sense. But this is good. The band is Triumvirate. And it's Illusions on a Double Dimple, 1974. All right. Okay, that is my number 40. I've only got 10 more to go. Yeah. 41 through 50. It's kind of going fast here. Okay, I put this off for a while. Henry Cow's Leg End or Legend. This is her first album from '73. This is very avant-garde, progressive music. I have that thick, box set of all of their material. These guys are not an easy listen. This is their most probably listener-friendly record. It's the one you see come up usually on, lists of greatest prog albums of all time. I guess it's my favorite one. I mean, look, it's the one I'm choosing to represent the band. But if you like these guys, they have any number of good albums. So there you go. Leg End or Legend. It's the English, being clever again. I got 41, 42. Greenslade. Dave Greenslade, of course, was in Colosseum. I could add a Colosseum album on here too, but that's kind of pre-proggy. I like that Roger Dean cover. I like their first 3 albums. But this, again, it's the first one I heard. I'm going to keep going back to that. I don't play Greenslade a lot anymore, but there was a time that I did. When I was first getting into prog and checking out all the bands, and first the major bands, and then the minor bands, and then, bands that you heard about occasionally, Greenslade would come up. And when I heard this first one, I bought the other 2. Plus, they're remastered, So it's good. It's 73. Did I take notes? No, I didn't. 73, I'm going to say. Okay, that's 41, 42. 43 is Happy the Man. This is an American prog band. Came out in 77. I don't even know where these guys are from. I think this album was recorded in L.A., though, but I don't know if they were an L.A. band. This is another remastered CD, so there's another one, Crafty Hands. I guess they have 2 albums. But this is their debut. So it is the only Happy the Man album I've ever heard. Happy the Man was a phrase that Peter Gabriel used in a Genesis song, or maybe it was a Genesis B-side or something like that. But I can't say these guys sound like Genesis, but it's good. All right. Okay, 41, 42, 43, 44 is Robert Wyatt's Rock Bottom. This is the most popular Robert Wyatt album. He had already had his accent. He was paralyzed. I don't even have this CD. This is just the same CDR that someone made me a long time ago. Sometimes his voice takes some getting used to, but I got a lot of Robert Wyatt albums. Not just solo stuff, but I mean, you know, with Soft Machine and Matching Mole and solo, and he's guested on a lot of people's albums. Rock Bottom is his. I guess he was feeling at rock bottom when he recorded this because he had just had his accident. This is his most popular album. All right, it doesn't sound prog the way that, you know, a classic prog album sounds, but you know, if Kevin Ayers gets a pass, so does Robert Wyatt. You know, Soft Machine alumni. 3, 4. This is 45. This is Flash. The Peter Banks, very Yes sounding album. This is the band that he formed after Yes. They have another album, but I've never heard it. This is pretty good. Did I take a note? Yeah, well, I didn't say anything. I said 72. But I could have told you that already. I like this record. You know, no, it's not as good as Close to the Edge, which is what Yes were doing this year, but it's pretty good. If you haven't heard it and you're a Yes guy, if you don't believe that Pink Floyd is really prog, and some don't, it's probably Yes then would be the greatest prog band. Narrowly beating out Crimson, narrowly beating out Genesis. You know, I mean, I don't know. There's something about Yes in their prime that just was kind of unbeatable. Okay, this is Artie plus Mestieri's Tilt album. 74, I'm going to say. More Italian prog. Guys, if you think I'm showing you too much Italian prog in this video, there's 10 other albums I could have shown you. All right? So this is, again, very classic sounding progressive rock music. They're singing in Italian again, if memory serves. If you like prog, you won't be disappointed in this. All right? So what was that, 46? It is. Okay, this one is more Italian prog, and I did take notes. This is YS. I don't know how you pronounce it. That's the album. Yes. And the band is Il Balletto di Bronzo. 72. So still early in the development of prog Italiano. But it's pretty great. It's pretty great. And that is going to be the last Italian prog album I show you. Okay, this is another American band, Ethos. The album's called Ardor. 76. I don't remember these guys from the time. I remember, you know, Happy the Man, but I don't know if I remembered them from 77 though. But I mean, I knew, since there were so few American prog bands, I knew of them fairly early. I don't remember Ethos. This is a good record though. Boy, I'm realizing now that I didn't put in any Hawkwind albums. I guess that's space rock. I left out Zappa too, purposely, because Zappa, even though he has made music, which is definitely prog, Zappa's about being other things besides just prog. So, and since I did a whole show on Frank Zappa, and I've shown you many of his albums in my year, you know, best of the year shows, I'd rather big up something like this that I'll probably never talk about again. So anyways, the band is called Ethos. It came out in 76. The album's called Ardor. It's good. Okay. 49 is Matching Mole, this is another, Mr. Robert Wyatt, by the way. This is another band that only did 2 albums. I like them both. I'm going for the first one because that's what turned me on. Dave Sinclair, you know, who had been in Caravan. Wyatt. Phil Miller. Yeah, I mean, what is this? Did I even take notes? No. Oh, well, that's all right. It's 72. And then the next one with the communist cover is also good. But there you go. Matching one. And my last one, I chose to focus on Jan Ackerman's Tabernacle. Now this, did I take notes on this one? No, god damn it. 73, I want to say. He was the guitar player for Focus. This is an acoustic kind of record. It kind of sounds classical. I do like his guitar playing. Didn't he play on the Peter Banks album that I showed you? I don't remember now. Anyways, I like it. And that is my top 50. Now, guys, I want you to remember when you're arguing over my list, which I'm going to type up below, I'm not saying these are my 50 favorite progressive rock albums from, the 70s or whatever, because then I'd have to include other albums by bands that I already had an album represented by. I'd have to show you, Metal and the other Pink Floyd albums, and the other Jethro Tull albums, and the other Rush albums for sure, Hemispheres, and so on and so forth. But I gave lots of bands that I don't talk about very often, and some I've never discussed before, a look in, a chance to be promoted. So that's what this show is all about. Same with my psych, same with my punk shows. All right. So anyways, this is Matt signing off. Until next time.